here in Germany. It's sharp at 2 p.m. So right in the afternoon. I'm happy to have you all here together with us and looking forward to give you some insights today into museum ticketing. So this is our today's webinar from Museum Ticketing 2026. We want to cover the most important trends and give you an overview about some features when you think about 2026. I know it still feels like we are 2025, but it's November already, so all of us can look forward into the coming year of 2026. This is a webinar we did, I think, a couple of weeks back in German language, and it was so incredibly successful and sought after that we were asked to do an English-speaking version of it. So today is the English-speaking version of it. And so if you couldn't get enough of the German-speaking version, now here comes the English-speaking version of it. And without further ado, let's start right into this webinar. We've scheduled roughly 1 hour to give you an overview of both like specific trends, functionalities, and then also concrete customer examples for what's there for 2026. My name is Lukas Hempel. I'm founder and CEO at bookingkit. I've been in the IT space for roughly 2 decades, in the ticketing attraction space for 1 decade. So I breathe and sweat attraction ticketing, museum ticketing. I love visiting museum and I love creating perfect customer experience for museums, for attractions. That's our home turf. That's what we do at bookingkit. And that's why more than 10 years back, I co-founded this company here. And incredibly happy to serve as CEO today and work with thousands of super inspiring customers because I just love this industry. I love attractions and I love spending time in museums. But when you go to museums, we know that only 1 out of 5 European museums and attractions are using state-of-the-art ticketing. Yeah? So it's sheer incredible what perfect amount of good quality museums we do have in Europe. Yeah, so I think it's the continent in the world where you have high quality museum, incredible heritage. But when it goes to ticketing, so how can I actually book the experience? In many cases, in 4 out of 5 cases, it's incredibly frustrating because it's just outdated. And to give you an example, I want to take you with me to my last Sunday. So this is me last Sunday sitting in my flat and thinking about, okay, I had a free Sunday, time to do something, time to experience something, some museums. So I was like, okay, we have this incredible amount of like museums we can visit, where is special exhibitions, where there is something special happening. And so I browsed a bit around using Google, some of the ChatGPT tools whatsoever, and found one exhibition I really wanted to see. It's really one of those historic, more than 200 years old buildings. You have incredibly artwork there. And so I was like, this is where I want to go. So you've known me now for a couple of minutes. I'm a tech person, so I try to directly buy my tickets online. So I went to the museum's website, tried to buy a ticket, and it said, yes, no more tickets for today. And I was like, oh, it's Sunday. Is it closed? And so they had tickets for the day after, for Monday, and many days after, but there was no possibility to buy tickets for today. And I was like, okay, is it closed? And I tried to call them, but on Sunday, no one really replied. And I was like, is it maybe closed or not? So I checked a bit on Google and there was no information about it being closed. So I thought, okay, I'll try my luck and I'll just go there. And when I went there, I was greeted by this long queue of people waiting there. So there were more than 200 people waiting to get into the museum. So again, it's a good museum, one of the greatest museums we actually have, big heritage, big like art. And so I started standing in this queue. And after a long time, I arrived finally at a one person selling tickets there. And this was, to be honest, the nicest person I've ever bought my ticket from. Yeah, so he was explaining me everything from the museum. I think he took like 5 minutes. Okay, and this painting now is in the other room, and this painting is just for renovation, so it's not there, and stuff like that. So Arriving there was an incredible experience. Just I had to wait like 200 people for that. And behind me, while he was explaining all of this, very detailed, there were another 200 people waiting. And so it was an incredibly frustrating experience to go into this museum, albeit the experience in the museum itself is terrific. Yeah. So once I was in there, I typically create my own audio guides with ChatGPT and have them like tell me a bit about the art and the time when this art was created. So once I was in this museum, I had an incredible experience. But this for me, and this is really why I love this industry and love to like help this industry, because we have those amazing museums, those amazing exhibitions, but in 4 out of 5 cases in Europe, ticketing is still not state of the art, and it creates a frustrating customer experience and visitor experience. And that's what we are here to change. So that's a bit of my personal connection. And now we want to look into the current trends into the market. So we're going to look at first starting with the visitor perspective. So what is trends we are currently seeing when you're thinking about 2026, how to operate a museum, how to think about your planning, maybe also for 2026. What are the key visitor trends you should be keeping an eye on? And without further ado, we'll dive wide into that. So today's webinar is structured with a mix of giving you like some numbers, some insights, some current data trends, and then we're going to look into a specific customer example to give you a feeling of, okay, what does all of this mean, like in a specific example to make it more tangible. And then after that, we'll give you a concrete, actionable guideline on what you can do to actually like what kind of initiatives, functionalities, ticketing initiatives you should be thinking about when you're doing your plan for 2026. But let's start with the visitors. Yeah. So I think one of the trends when we look at visitors is that people are still very much considering to book their trip long term in advance. So especially when it comes to museum, people start or like city trips. We have here the example for German traveler, but this is fairly consistent across pan-European travelers, that they plan roughly half a year in advance. We'll come to how they plan this in a second, but it's really more and more you plan your activity, your museum visit also in advance. Sticking with the visitor, you see that the trend to book online is also increasing. Yeah, so the experience, the attraction, the museum becomes more and more the centerpiece of me traveling, the reason for traveling. And so before we go into museum ticketing or attraction ticketing, let's start with digital booking at all. So you see that across Europe now 2/3 of people are very used to book stuff online. So that's general, including e-commerce. And then if we zoom into like the different generations and their like willingness to book stuff up front, you see this clear pattern. Gen Zs, like 4 out of 5 Gen Zs want to book this online. They want like to pre-book. Yeah? So this is something you can really see in a change, also in generational change and generational pattern. And very simplified, if you look at my grandparents, they traveled Air France because they love the Air France product and they always wanted to go by Air France. Then my parents, they knew this nice, small, cozy hotel in the south of France, and we always went back to this hotel because it was such a nice hotel experience. So they went for the hotel. And when we look at like the generation after that, including my generation and younger people, then you see that it's more and more centered around like the experience, the museum, fueled by social media. If you think of Instagram, TikTok, those channels, you see, okay, this is what I can be doing. I want to climb the Machu Picchu. So this is why I travel to South America. And then everything else gets planned around. And if it's so cornerstone and centerpiece for me to have this experience, to go to this museum, then of course I am more happy to also pre-book online and make sure that I have actually my committed entry to that. And I not, if you think of the earlier example, I don't sit at home and then maybe the museum is closed and I cannot do what I came here to do. Sticking with visitors, what, if you have a museum, what's the incentive or why are people coming? If you look to the right, you have like the two main drag reasons we are seeing with people is special exhibitions and events. We're going to hear more on that in a second in the concrete custom example. And is famous artworks, well-known artists. So those lighthouse stuff you have in your museum still gets people there. But I think especially when you're thinking about 2026, the top 10% performing museums, we see they're very good with special exhibitions, special events to create this buzz, to create this newsworthiness, this permanent element of, okay, why should I go today? Because in a lot of cases, museums I can also visit tomorrow, and the potential thing I can do tomorrow typically leads to I'm not doing it. So you want to create this reason why should I go today? And then after special exhibitions and famous artworks, of course, we have like regional art, regional artists, so to give you the special reason why only you can see it only here. And then a bit more locally, also historic local art. When we go there, and potentially you've heard me, and I don't know how you do your travel planning, but one of the key things we are really seeing is that travel plans are done with generative AI. If that is ChatGPT or Gemini for you, it's the key usage how people use generative AI. Yeah? So I can tell you, I've recently for a city trip in Poland, I planned my entire trip completely with ChatGPT, including what can I do, what would be nice stuff to do, both as a combination of evergreens like museums and special exhibitions or special events. Everything was planned there. I also like recently was as a nearby bar and talked to some local visitors, and they told me, yes, we planned also spontaneously. We went here over the weekend. Everything was planned by ChatGPT. So this is what this is telling you. If you're not on ChatGPT, if you're not like listed there and in the content directory, then your museum does not exist to the visitor anymore. So this, whatever your strategy is for next year, should be key and cornerstone in your strategy to make sure that when I'm asking for relevant stuff to do in your city, that you pop up and are integrated there. Otherwise, you risk of not existing anymore. We've seen it with very lighthouse attractions, lighthouse museums who then not like are visible on generative AI tools anymore, and then dramatically drop in inbound visitors. So that's definitely something to watch out for. This closes the element where we have a look at the visitors. And now we're going to look a bit more specifically into verticals. So what's the current trends? And stick with me for some more numbers into that direction. And incredibly excited today. We have such a variety of people from all over Europe joining us here today. So hello, everyone. Looking forward to give you some insights. And with that, we'll continue with museums trends. So when you manage a museum, potentially there's going to be people influencing you. There's people who also want to have their say. We're going to have a specific example later today, but many museums are either private or state-owned. There's some different flavors, but you can also see it. Yeah, so there's certain pressures on the planning. We have here a recent survey where like 3 out of 4 museum managers said, okay, we get pressure from politics, then followed only by the pressures created by ourselves to raise like the amount of tickets we sell, or then also media. So it's definitely, so why are we doing that? Why do we have to continue to get more visitors? When you think about sales channels, so how are people coming to me? Typically in touristic or in like general booking process, you think about this like research phase. So I am on ChatGPT considering what to do, and then hopefully research goes over to booking. And so this is super relevant because if you look to the pie chart to the left, you see that still the most dominant booking channel for museums is direct offline, yeah, which is a fancy name for I come, I buy my ticket locally, like me at the queue there. followed by the attraction website, and then only OTAs, so Get Your Guide, Booking.com, Viator, and the likes. We're going to have more insights into that in a second. But so, of course, online, both online direct, which is the museum website, and also OTAs are the fastest growing channels. And we see less and less people coming directly and just buying, showing up and buying their tickets, which is also a good thing, because then you can plan the visitors more. But also you have to make sure that actually on the relevant channels, on the relevant Gen AI tools, you actually happen. And in this research phase, you are there. So that's definitely one of the things which is key for museums. What we can learn from like sites and monuments, what we have also many of those kinds of customers at BookingKit, attractions at BookingKit, is that maybe you can see to the right in this pie chart a glimpse to the future of how it will look like for museums very soon as well. So you see a lot less people, so just 29 instead of 49%. So nearly half are coming directly and just buying their bookings tickets. You see website and OTAs being the ones who then profit from that. So that's super important to keep in mind, that like this, the amount of people just showing up at your museum and buying the ticket is decreasing and decreasing, which is a good thing, but because it helps you to actually pre-plan and organize your business. But it's also, you cannot just rely on people showing up and then buying their ticket. With that being said, let's look a bit into what kind of products, next to just tickets. Of course, the classic museum product is you come, you buy a ticket, that's it. So if we look a bit to the left side, you see many attractions at least offer now advanced reservations. In many cases, they also require them. What does it mean? So I think throughout COVID, many museums saw that having certain slots for their museum is actually also a good thing, because it steers the different customers a bit better through the museum, and you have less this crowd building within the museum. And I was talking to, within COVID, I think in the peak of COVID, was in a call with one of the management from one of the biggest museum we have in Europe. And they were like, oh my God, Lukas, we are only allowed to have 1/4 of the people allowed to be in this museum now. So how can we make it? How is it? And I was like, really, this is the best experience you can have in your lifetime for this museum. So this is a museum which normally you have no chance to actually see the artwork, because there's always 5,000 people in front of you taking selfies. And now you have this one opportunity in time to actually experience this museum, how it was meant to be experienced. So I think many attractions, many museums to a certain extent took over the slot concept to steer the amount of visitors they're having. Then, of course, guided tours, maybe like many of you will have guided tours throughout the museum. To maybe expand a bit on that, what we see post-COVID as one of the key winning categories is what we call VIP products. So you also have this exclusive VIP experiences. The first step into that direction is guided tours. So think of it's the fastest growing category currently in museum ticketing, to have next to the standard ticket, what are more expensive options to visit your museum. This can be exclusive tours, this can be exclusive bookings. We see that at many museums as well, that at certain time slots you can just book the entire museum as ultra VIP option, or you can have guided individual tours. And we see both rise in demand for that, fueled by many people who maybe in COVID were forced to do more private products and are now seeing, okay, this is actually a good product for me, let's do it. So if you're not offering those kinds of products, this would be definitely something to watch out for 2026. I already talked a bit about capacity caps. People like me will go through your museum and do their own audio guide with ChatGPT, but you might think about offering self-guided mobile tours. There's different flavors. There's great technology also for this. And it really, for me, it changes the way how I interact with a museum if I have this different layer of explaining the artwork, explaining the exhibition, explaining the experience. So this is incredibly increasing the product quality, and especially also with generative AI tools, it's now cheaper and cheaper to create very well audio guide products. So it's amazing to see that. And then last but not least, the self-service ticket kiosk. We see that more and more it's coming from China. We'll be talking about trends from China in a second later as well. But that people, instead of offering personnel which sells tickets, which typically it's hard to organize the personnel in today's times. It's hard to train people. You have this queue building. So more and more is replaced by a self-service ticket kiosk, especially if you look at larger museums. So that's definitely one thing to watch out for in 2026. I promised you we're going to have a look a bit into specifically zoom into OTAs. As you know, as one of the biggest European platforms in the space, we have unique insights into what is going on in the OTA space. So maybe let's zoom out a bit what kind of OTAs you have. You have like large OTAs, trip.com, second largest OTA of the world, China based. So many of us don't know them, but it's actually after booking.com, the second largest OTA of the world. You have Get Your Guide. They've got a lot of buzz recently by publishing their revenue numbers. So they're now on par with Viator or TripAdvisor worldwide. Like in terms of revenue, and especially in Europe, you'll see a lot of Get Your Guide as the specific OTA platforms. You have reseller platforms such as amusement, which are typically not, so they're distributing with TUI as well, but they are more famous for actually distributing with booking.com, for example. Then you have also China-based Klook, in the space. Again, I would say a lookalike to Get Your Guide coming from Asia outbound markets with our now also more aspiration to go into Europe as destination markets. We're working closely with them. Just recently talked with Eric as well, founder of Klook. And then, of course, you have local DMOs. So here we have the example of Stuttgart, but we have in many European countries very close connection to the local DMOs, which also helps you to fuel your visitors for your museum. When we look into one level down into like the different OTAs, again, we have this bucket of global OTAs. Think of Get Your Guide, amusement, Viator, Trip.com, Ciudadanos is a Spanish-speaking version, Head Out, Indian, US-based company. Then you have those what we call specialists. So Google Things to Do is the integration into the Google Maps product. If you don't do that today, if you take one thing today, you should do Google Things to Do. Of course, BookingKit is also needlessly integrated to both local DMOs, but also to specialists as ADAC, Seven Fridays, stuff like that. So that's there. And then, of course, we offer the full flexibility to also sell with local hotel partners. So we are integrated with hotel partners such as Motor One and Best Western and They Are Touristic. But we also allow you to integrate with your local hotels, which especially for many of our museum attraction customer is a good way to diversify their ticketing and make sure that like the local hotel concierge, the local hotel around the corner can also sell tickets and gets an incentive to sell tickets without creating the administrative overhead for you to do all the charging, to do all the kickback calculations, stuff like that. So that's one of the things definitely, if you don't look at it today, what I would look out for. Overall, so this is the growth of like reseller numbers. You probably, and we just discussed Johannes, founder of Get Your Guide, like celebration messages. Underlying this celebration messages is this trend, that we are seeing a 30x increase of reseller OTA bookings since pre-COVID levels, since pre-2019 level. So this is really one of the fastest growing segments in the industry and something you can really use to leverage your own ticketing. Many large attractions, many large museums we are working with before using BookingKit, they often had no OTAs at all, or even just single OTAs, and then they use us to do a variety of channels. So I think the top 10% of our customers in terms of revenue work in average with more than 5 different OTAs. So this is really something to keep in mind to diversify also the different customer groups, the different like where are you getting your customers from. So you make sure that wherever people look for your museum, for your product, that you are there people can find you there, and then it seamlessly fits into your ticketing system. So maybe now you allow me to go a bit deeper into how we view this next year in terms of like 360 ticketing, connectivity. How does it all play together? Because as maybe you got, it's a quite complex landscape, and our job is to really simplify that. Before we go into the like connectivity element of that, I really want you to understand a bit better from a visitor perspective. How do we go through that? So typically you have this journey, which is called the traveler's booking journey. And it starts at the top of being inspired. So inspiration can happen with social media, can happen at a conversation with a friend that you tell me, hey, Lucas, I was visiting this museum. Then I'm like, okay, I should go there. And so it creates my inspiration. Then typically from inspiration, I go a bit more concretely into the planning phase. So this to the right. And then hopefully planning is I check a bit on my on Google, on my browser, on ChatGPT. What can I do? How much is it? Stuff like that. And then this planning goes into the booking phase, that I can book. And from booking, I want to then experience this and go into the experience. There, of course, you have local systems like technical systems, which enable that, turnstile systems, depending on the size of your museum, of your attraction. And then you want to achieve that this visitor journey, which is displayed here, of course, creates like this flywheel of getting into inspiration again. And one of the key things you can do for that is to fuel this social media sharing. So make sure that your product very organically has some elements of being shared. So you ensure that people who come visit your museum, they are not only coming once, but best case, they're coming back again. So we are back at special exhibitions, what would make an incentive, create an incentive for them to come back, and that they inspire at least 2 other people to come to you. So this creates this flywheel, which then helps you to drive visitor growth for your museum and creates fans out of the existing visitor. So when you have this like visitor journey in mind, this is our strategy to also very seamlessly connect to all the different systems. So this is the core. You can think of this wheel in the center. This is bookingkit as a ticketing software. So we have like as a central, I'm starting on the left, a central ticket shop, which you put on your own website. You can sell tickets with. We very seamlessly integrate to any leading worldwide channel. So whatever channel you have on your radar, be sure we have that covered over as well, and very well and deeply integrated. And on all the big OTAs, we're also in the tier 1 connectivity phase for those. And we enable you to resell those activities also with local partners, which could be like Google Maps, the Google Things to Do product, local hotels, or hotels we have on our radar as well. So by day 1, you can also sell with them. And then to the right, we will make sure that like the visitor experience is also very, very seamless. And for that, we can very, very seamlessly integrate into your existing turnstile and on-site system. So whatever kind of cache system you use, that can be local systems, access systems, like international systems, whatever systems you have, there's a high probability we are already integrated with those. And so we can make sure that when you have like the ticket on your phone, you get a QR code, and this QR code you can directly scan at the turnstile systems, and then without any kind of ticket swap, this goes through. And of course, we want to make your life as easy as possible. So we'll be seamlessly integrating into your CRM system, into your accounting system. So this is App Marketplace to the right, what you're seeing. And then in some cases, especially if you have bigger setups, as many of our larger customers have, then we can also seamlessly and custom for you integrate into your primary systems, which could be, we have integrations to Salesforce Commerce Cloud, to Oracle finance systems, to SAP side finance systems, for Microsoft Dynamics user management. And of course, all of this is possible depending on your specific need. So without further ado, let's continue here. Go a bit there. So I'm a huge fan and nerd about pricing, so I can talk about pricing all day. We want to just cover the highlights here today. I think if you only have one ticket, which is the entrance ticket, you should, for your 2026 strategy, reconsider your ticketing strategy. One of the standard tactics is to offer combination tickets, like in combination with gifts. This can significantly influence like the average ticket price you sell your ticket for, which especially in inflation times is incredibly important to drive up your ticket price to match also an increased cost level. So those flexible prices and ticket options can be helping you to steer visitor flow. So classic thing is you have more visitors Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and those are typically the peak days. So typically visiting there should be more expensive than if you want to come Tuesday, Wednesday. You can also make morning slots cheaper, evening slots cheaper to really enable people, incentivize people to come at the right amount of time. So this is, if you don't do it yet, this is something you definitely should have on your radar for your pricing strategy. If you want to do more pricing, there's, I think, a full 90-minute session on our website just on me nerding about pricing. So looking forward to that, and also do it, I think, 3 times or 2 times per year for a while. So we can also do it in person. Then, of course, preaching a bit to a prayer, but you should have on your strategy for 2026 specific products which are tailor-made to the different groups. Yeah, so season passes. Can I also buy a season pass from the museum for the entire year? Is there a seamless upsell flow that if I have a standard ticket, that at the exit I can upgrade this ticket to a season pass ticket? This is roughly 50% of season passes are being sold. Do you have fully self-service group booking functionality for school classes, for group bookings? Yeah, so don't shy people away by email forms or stuff like that. People don't want to do that. You're going to lose customers like this. So make sure that these standard groups, standard size of groups, are actually also able to just book seamlessly through your section. And same goes for family. So I have 2 kids. I can tell you all about a lot of broken family ticket processes. Make sure that family tickets purchase is also possible, because depending on your destination museum, roughly 50% of your visitors can be families. So you should make sure that there's actually a good way to also buy those family tickets, which is not frustration. Then, of course, you'll hear us talk AI all the day. AI is something which we manage to make really actionable for you. That's our job. We don't want to overwhelm you with the complexity of AI, but AI can really help you make data-driven decisions to understand better how is the dynamics of your booking behavior, to understand the KPIs a bit better. For that, you can really get tons of good insights in the BookingKit technology. So we briefly talked about museum trends in the sense of special events and vouchers and such. So let's zoom into that a bit. Yeah? So one of the key things we see in museums is to go away from just the standard exhibition ticket and offer additional tickets. And one very, very nice way is to do exclusive or special events in combination with time slots. So we see this across the board for top performing museums. This is what they do, which means if you don't do it for 2026, consider it for a strategy, or you don't do much of it yet, it should be one cornerstone of your strategy for 2026. We're going to also later on hear a very specific example where we see that and how successful they got like this. And if you need some inspiration, this could be depending on the kind of museums you have. But we see readings, we see concerts, we see family events, we see special exhibitions, workshops. You can align those with school vacations to have school family workshops. We already talked earlier a bit about VIP events. So think about exclusive events. Think about if you have the possibility to rent out the museum for a private visit for a certain amount of time. Offer small group tours, maybe the guided tours available also for just 4 people if the price is high enough. So this can really help you drive bookings, drive tickets and ticket prices, especially because we see that the willingness to pay is really there also for more expensive and more exclusive products. And also you create bigger fans for museum, because of course for your museum, because of course by those more exclusive, more special virtual products, you have a lot of better opportunities to become fan of your museum, because the experience is a lot more intense than just a classic 90 to 120-minute museum music visit, which is typically self-guided through your museum. The one thing I'm really passionate about is vouchers. As a quick benchmark, you should be selling roughly 10 to 20% of your annual revenue with vouchers. Why are vouchers so important? Yeah, so today is 5th of November, so there's no better timing to do vouchers than today. Go ahead and sell vouchers if you don't do it yet. Why is it so attractive? Depending on your tax setup, you nearly entire Europe, you can sell the vouchers without VAT. Yeah, so you save complete VAT on the vouchers. You only have to pay it once someone comes to you, like redeems the voucher. But depending on the type of museum you have, a lot of those vouchers are never redeemed. So it's basically free money. You get free money without VAT. How much better is that? If that's 20% of your revenue, wow, you just like really made commercially a big difference. And then one level down, you create incentive to get people to your museum, which typically maybe wouldn't come to your museum. So a great upsell process is after you've purchased the ticket to also offer voucher options. Also, when you have visited the museum, to have those voucher options. And this helps people to then gift the vouchers to friends and family. And like this, you reach new target groups which potentially wouldn't have visited your museum, but because some fan of your museum basically gifted those, then you win those new visitors, and those new visitors are again your chance to then get new fans, get new inspirations, get more into different target groups. So I think in a lot of conversations we have with museums, I'm always like preaching, think more about vouchers. If you're doing less than 20% of your annual revenue with vouchers, you have opportunity to increase your sales and reach new target groups. And again, for your profitability, in many cases, VAT-free income. And you know me a bit by now, I'm a huge fan of pricing. So how can we actually make sure that we increase the average basket? Many of you will have small museum shops or even bigger museum shops as like exit option. Think about how like you can really connect these options with the checkout flow. So I've seen in the top 10% performing museums at bookingkit, we see that they actually sell additional products directly in the checkout process. So a classic best practice example would be throughout the ticket checkout process, you already have free upsell options, which typically are a product. Yeah, so offer product options, package offers, get the cap, t-shirts, depending on your museum. Maybe it's something more specific, could be an art exhibition, also the poster for the exhibition. And just say if you prepay or pre-book, you get 10% off, stuff like that. And this really helps you to drive your average ticket price up, because people are super willing to also pay more for a better packaged experience. And this is your opportunity to increase your average ticket price significantly directly in the purchase process, and you don't have to rely on this on-site museum shop experience, which can also help you, but you have more like entryways towards this upsell opportunity. So again, if you think about your 2026 strategy, the benchmark is your normal checkout process should have free upsell options in the checkout, which should somehow make sense to your product. Hit me up if you want inspiration on that. We can also talk about it specifically, but that's something you can keep in mind. There I know we tech people, the entire world is talking about AI, how the AI is changing the world and something like that. Our job is to make it tangible and usable and specific for you guys. So we also do a lot with AI, just to make sure that it's super, super easy for you as a museum to use. So one of the examples where we use AI is for customer support. So you can basically, if you use BookingKit at any point in time, get super, super quick responses. And I was recently having dinner with an operative director of a museum, and her opening statement was, Lukas, I love this functionality because it gives so quick, so fast, so good answers at any point in time. So you really have this element of using the software. You are all of us know, at some point software, we struggle to somehow understand it, use it, we need some help. Then you just click on the chat, you get within seconds, you get this perfect answers. Our customers on average, it's a bit sad also, but since February, our customers rate, like there's a quality rating, how good was the answer, and rate the automated answers better than they rate the human created answers. So it's a bit sad for us as humans, but it's really amazing what this technology can do. So this is how we do a lot of our support. It's still human-based. If you have more complex questions or like specific questions, then of course humans will answer you. But typically they're not as fast as a within seconds chatbot. And this experience we also bring to your website, to your museum website. So one of the cornerstone features of BookingKit is those conversion optimized websites. So we will make sure that you have the best converting webshop in the world for your industry. And we just recently released a new version, which we call the floating widget. So this is a state-of-the-art widget integration into your website, which seamlessly integrates into your existing website to sell tickets. You see the example here, how we did it for the Pantheon in Rome to like sell their tickets. And this will significantly help you to sell more tickets. Why is that important? Because people are now all over the place. They will maybe have the Get Your Guide app. They will have the opportunity to buy on your website. So you need to make sure that it's as seamless, as easy to buy on your own website as it is with reseller, because otherwise people will go to the reseller and you don't want to pay this give or take 20% commission just for people who are lazier because your checkout experience doesn't work. So we initially talked about me visiting this museum in Berlin. So on Get Your Guide, I actually saw I could book this museum. And so this would be incredibly frustrating if I already was at your website. I was about to buy a ticket and then leave again and buy with a reseller, and you have to pay extra for that. You have to make sure that your website is optimized for AI. You want to make sure that AI tools do understand how is your museum structured, why is it important, how can I buy tickets. All of this has to be optimized. This is something we deliver, and you have to make sure, because otherwise even the lighthouse attractions will not happen anymore in generative AI times, because we discussed it earlier, people are more basing their research on generative AI tools. If you are not visible there, you are basically not happening, and you are at high risk to actually not happen in the visitor journey anymore. So that's definitely something to have on your radar for 2026. Wherever you are in Europe, either last year or this year, you have the new Accessibility Act. So the Barrier-Free Information Act is a European guideline which now goes into effect in a different country, depending where you live. There's a different timeline for it. So you'll have to make sure that your website is very accessible. This is not only regulation, but will really help you to drive also bookings, because the more simpler the website is to use, the better it is to actually go forward. So that's definitely something you should be watching out for from a just compliance standpoint, because you have to do it, and also from driving booking standpoint. So that would be something we would warmly welcome you to actually use that. And there's tools who help you to do this as well. So you don't have to start from scratch for your own. Before we come to a concrete customer example to make it a bit more tangible, and I leave you with today with some very concrete action points, one thing we see is that more and more our top performing museums are turning to using QR codes. What does it mean? So that at the entrance, you have like this QR code booking process. We see that from China. In China, there's no self-service terminals anymore. There's not very much like anything else but large QR codes, sometimes in the size of like 10-meter billboards, which just have the QR code, scan this to book your experience. And this helps you to decrease the amount of time people have to wait at the entrance. I described to you my incredibly frustrating visiting experience from the museum earlier. So this helps drive happiness of your visitors and makes sure that you can actually use those time and the visitor experience, increase the visitor experience. So why does it make sense? Yeah, you come as a visitor typically if you have more international guests, it makes sense to offer free Wi-Fi. Then they can basically scan the QR code with their own device, just scan the QR code, book on their device with their favorite wallet or Apple Pay, Google Pay experience, and then seamlessly go through your turnstile system or through your entry into the museum without ever talking to anyone. And for you, you get relief that your operational staff, your people who are working there, actually can focus on having a good visitor experience. Because to be honest, just like taking cash and switching it for a ticket doesn't create a good customer experience, a good visitor experience. A good visitor experience is actually when you have time to really talk to people, say, hey, this is how it works, stuff like that. So your operational staff can focus on those kind of activities. And overall, you're going to save on operational staff because you need less people, which are more and hard to find. And you increase the visitor experience because people are able to pre-book that. And we actually see it with some of our customer examples that they also put the ticket codes, so the QR codes, directly in the parking garage, so as early as possible. So people are already on their way. So think of me as a father, 2 kids, like when I get out of the car until the kids have everything and stuff like that. You scan the QR code and then you already buy the tickets. And so even before you arrive at the entrance situation, you already have your tickets covered. And this really helps you to drive ticket sales again and visitor experience because you have more time in the museum itself. QR codes is also something which you can use at nearby partners you work with. So I'm thinking of restaurants which are in the vicinity, hotels which are in the vicinity. So bookingkit or whatever booking system you use will probably offer you a full suite of, basically, we call it affiliate links. So basically you can give specific QR codes to specific partners. And you can ensure that those partners, if you want, you can also reward those partners, give them like a percentage of the ticket sales, or just track how much traffic you get from specific partners. So this is really helpful to really understand what drives your tickets, where do you get your bookings from, how does it work. And this is really, again, talking about your 2026 strategy. If you're not doing this today, you should really thinking about going into this direction. Without further ado, let's go into different examples. So for those, what we call affiliate links, so different links to your web shop, which help you to understand what drives your bookings. In the end, always drives direct bookings on your own website. So we see it on social media. Yeah, so you should have Instagram, you should have TikTok. On both channels. You should, as link to bio, include a tracking link, which then links to your own web shop to buy tickets. So you always have the call to action, come visit us. Then this call to action leads to the ticket shop. And also throughout the ticket shop, you get like this conversion information of how many tickets did I actually sell throughout which channels. The same happens with resellers and partners, so you can have those partners integrate your experience. I heard a very cool example from my recent visit of a large attraction. They have actually a small statue of their attraction, and this has a QR code on it. And this statue they put at all the partner hotels at the reception desk. So you have always this small statue, and then you have the QR code there to directly book tickets. Fantastic experience. It's cool, it's playful, and you can track how many tickets you get with there. Then if you work with apps or influencer, you can also influencers, you can give them the direct link to better understand how much does this actually drive my bookings. You can optimize your campaigns. You can place those affiliate links on different websites, on different ads to better understand and to really track, okay, which campaign gets which effect. So this is incredibly helpful to better understand what drives those bookings, and then to fuel the stuff which help you drive those bookings, and double down on those elements and maybe do less of the stuff which does not work. So this was theory. 50 minutes or 49 minutes of numbers, insights into our numbers, and giving you some overview. For the remainder of the time, we have two elements. We have a concrete custom example prepared, and I want to leave you today with some specific food for thought, like what you could be, what you should be doing when you think about your 2026 strategy. We have certain success stories here. So again, we have thousands of museums, of attractions in Europe working with us. And I'm, as CEO and founder, I'm not allowed to have favorite customers or favorite museums attractions. But we have one which is very dear to our heart, the European Hansemuseum. So a museum which is in a small city, which is a bit a special museum. We're going to have in a second. And so a German museum, terrific experience in the north of Germany on this Hanse element. Like Hanse is the old trade guild you see throughout the world, and they have this specific museum. So it was opened nearly 10 years ago, so a bit more than 10 years ago. It's a very special thing because it's a private museum owned by a foundation, so it's a bit like in the middle, not exactly private, not exactly a state-owned museum. It shows this very rich history of the Hanse. I can warmly recommend to go there. Gives you this scenic representation of the whole Hanse area. They do more than 100,000 visitors per year, and out of those, roughly every fourth is an international visitor. So the rest is Germans, which could be local domestic travelers. And so this is, I think, very impressive. They do 40 to 50% events per year. So this is roughly one event, one special event per week. And again, this should give us this inspiration. It's really about creating drag to the event, creating drag to the museum. So give this element of newsworthiness. And their way to achieve this is really to have nearly every week an event in combination with rotating special exhibitions. So you always have this newsworthiness. It's never the same museum, always creates this drags for that. And they are very committed to this. How can we create the museum of the future experience? So if you ask them, so why should we do online ticketing at all? So for them, the answer is they're actually using time slot ticketing to really help ensure that in this museum, still 1,000 people is quite some visitors on a mid-sized museum or a small-sized museum, to make sure that everyone has a good customer experience, a good visitor experience. They can better plan because tickets get sold earlier in the process, so they can better plan for their operational staff. How is it with group booking, stuff like that. They managed to really increase brand awareness. We'll come to the numbers in a second. For them, it was part of a digitalization strategy of the entire process. So if you think of the entire visitor process, a lot of museums think very much on the visiting experience. But of course, for me as a visitor, it all starts with research and then booking the tickets. And of course, the more digital you get, the more flexible you can be in offering that. And I started this webinar with an example from my own frustration on visiting. So they really were able to increase the guest satisfaction with that. To make it a bit more concrete, so what are trends they are seeing in their destination and their museum, maybe also as food for thought for your 2026 planning. They see that the stays at the destination are a lot shorter. So people go in and out faster and want like faster time to wow, as we call it. The museum visits are not are more and more planned. So because they are staying shorter, they really want to make sure that Tuesday afternoon they can go to the museum because they're only there in town for 3 days. So it's less and less spontaneously decided, again, fueling this pre-booking of tickets. Especially this museum, given this lighthouse character, becomes more and more the reason for people to visit the destination. And they also say that the visitors are more and better informed about what options are there pre-coming, and the age also dramatically lowered for them. So more and more younger people are also coming to the museum, which is, I think, incredibly good and very nicely connects to this trend statistic we've seen earlier about the Gen Z booking earlier and earlier. Very specifically, into 2025, they increased the amount of online tickets sold by 70%, 17%. So that's only on direct website. So they increased dramatically the amount of tickets sold on the website. And now on top comes the reseller booking functionality they've seen. So I think this is very impressive to see how they could create this uplift for their business with using digital modern booking technology. And we want to make it as tangible as possible for you here today. So very specifically, we prepared some recommended actions as we close it and wrap it up for today for the last minutes of this webinar. And so you've heard many, hopefully, inspirations for your 2026 strategy. If I want to narrow it down and say, okay, what are the most important things? There's 6 elements I want you to think about and then decide on what are you going to do about those for 2026. We'll start in the upper left, ticket options and pricing structure. Again, I'm a huge fan of pricing. I can be talking 90 minutes or 90 days nonstop about pricing. Think about flexible pricing. Think about additional ticket options. You should think about strategies to increase your average ticket price with all the options we have discussed before. Then to the right, 360 ticketing and connectivity. We want you to very seamlessly think this experience, this ticketing experience for the customer. So I should be able to book on my phone, directly scan the QR code, and then go into the museum without any human touch and human interaction. This will create a seamless and perfect ticket and visitor experience. Based on that, you can also forecast and better understand how many people are actually coming. Then second line, AI and conversion optimization. Make sure your website can sell tickets state of the art. Make sure people are not going to Viator or Klook whatsoever just because your website sucks. 4 out of 5 museums in Europe do not have state-of-the-art ticketing. On that, the result of that is people don't come anymore because they don't find or are not able to book. Look at my example from earlier, sold out for today. Or you have to pay expensive commissions for people who would have come to you. Think about local partners, so what we call it with QR codes and affiliate marketing. Your entrance, the garage, whatever you have should be plastered with Book Now QR codes to also relieve more the on-site ticketing staff and create a better customer experience. And think about corporations to local restaurants and hotels to seamlessly also sell tickets there. Same goes last line on connections to OTAs. So top 10% performing museums are using more than 5 different OTAs. So if you're not using OTAs at all, then start using. If you're only using a handful, you should really diversify to make sure you get the maximum amount of results from that. And think about additional products and time slots. So that's definitely something, if you don't do it today, that's something how you can further increase the wow effect of your museum and also make sure that people have a better experience at your museum. And so we try to make it a bit actionable for you. And so if you think about your museum revenue or museum ticketing revenue, so we can sort it a bit. Most, in this example, dollar symbols, you would have something like QR codes, skipped line QRs, definitely some of the main levers you have to drive your ticket revenue. If you don't do it today, affiliate marketing is really something you should be thinking about. then no booking is as cheap as your website booking. So make sure that people really book, think about like how to optimize for this AI world, optimized website and widget. Then on the tier 2 elements, think about exclusive events, what we discussed earlier, VIP events, small group bookings. Think about different pricing structures and ticket options. Yeah, so why is Tuesday the same price as Friday? Or Saturday, why is early morning the same price as peak time in the afternoon? Think about if that really makes sense. Think about OTAs. You should be working with all the main OTAs and DMOs in your section. And then, of course, I love vouchers. 10 to 20% of your annual revenue should be voucher revenue. Again, depending on your tax structure, could be tax-free, free revenue and gifted money for people who are not using it. So this is definitely something to look into, especially as today we are closing to Christmas. And think about what additional products you can already offer throughout the checkout process. You should have free upsell option in your checkout process already. Don't only trust the gift shop in the end. Already move that before, because people there have a super high willingness to pay. This was our webinar today on the trends for attraction ticketing. Yeah, so we covered all kinds of statistics on visitor trends, on museum trends, what we see in booking behavior. We have insights into thousands of museums and attractions in Europe as one of the leading platforms for ticketing. Those we tried to share. We talked about the specific example of the European Hansemuseum, an incredibly exciting and modern museum. Can warmly recommend you to go there. And then we try to make it actionable for you, showed you some specific insights. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and schedule a demo if you want on BookingKit on the website, bookingkit.com. And also on the website, you'll find tons of material about pricing, about calendar, like what to watch out for 2026. So looking forward to see you, and maybe see you also in person, one of the calls or one of the events. With that, have a nice time, have a nice day. Thank you so much. Take care and bye-bye.